Imagine this, your crappy 2004 Toyota Corolla finally craps the bed, so you're in need of a new vehicle. You decide it's time to upgrade, get a nice whip, like, I don't know, a Mercedes or something. So you do your research, you look around, you find a bunch of sketchy dealerships who you don't trust at all. So then you go to CarMax, and not a hashtag ad, by the way. Anyway, they have the exact car you want, and they tell you, yeah, we've checked the whole thing over, we've checked the condition of the car, the mechanics, it is what we say it is, so you can trust us. So you buy it, of course. You plop your hard-earned cash down to make a major purchase. And you're so excited to finally not be a pleb and own a real car, But when that car arrives at your door, it's not a real car. It's a toy Hot Wheels version of the car you ordered. Now, Hot Wheels can be pretty sweet in their own right. You can get those cool tracks that do loop-de-loops and all that good stuff. But I repeat, it's not what you ordered and not worth anything near what you paid. Now, if this happened to you, it would be fraud. It would be criminal. There would be lawsuits and fines and maybe even people going to jail. Okay, I think I've run that metaphor into the ground, although I like the idea of replica fashion as Hot Wheels cars, I do have to say. Anyway, what I'm saying is that in their own way, Vestiaire Collective are doing the same thing in my view. They're lying, they're defrauding people, and I've got receipts. I'm telling you right now, whatever you think is going on here, it's worse. Let's get into it. Just real quick, do the whole like, subscribe, comment thing, please. But also, this is the second video I've made about fakes on Vestiaire Collective. Last time, I got so many comments of people sharing similar things that had happened to them. So this time, I'm asking you, if you have any stories of getting screwed by Vestiaire and you're interested in telling that story, please film yourself saying what happened and email it to lowluxuryclothing@gmail.com. The email on screen here. Hopefully I'll get enough and I can make a follow-up with your stories because this really is happening to tons of people. I don't care if you use your phone to film it, a webcam, whatever. Anyway, thank you. First, let me give a quick introduction here for those of you who are unfamiliar. Vestiaire Collective is a resale platform like Grailed or Depop, all that stuff. People list their clothes on the site and you can buy them. So like you want to buy an ugly Versace shirt for cheap? This is the place for you, at least they say. However, Vestiaire Collective have one claimed advantage over those other platforms. They have authenticators on staff, and when you buy something on VC, you pay an extra $15 and the piece goes from the seller to Vestiaire Collective, where they supposedly authenticate it, and then they send it to you, the buyer. And that's a really great idea. StockX also does it, places like that. One of the worst parts about buying luxury clothing online is how many scammers there are out there trying to pass off reps as the real thing. There's just one problem though. In my experience, Vestiaire Collective is not holding up their end of the bargain. So this video is broken down into 3 parts, 3 acts. Look mom, I'm a real filmmaker now, we got acts and everything. So I'm calling Act 1, Enfant Riche des Poupes. And that's the story of a piece I bought and what happened afterwards. Act 2 is called The Experiment, where I tested a theory of mine with very interesting results. And finally, Act 3 is called It's Worse Than You Think. And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. So now that you know what we're in for, let's begin. Despite the fact that I am very dubious of things sold on Vestiaire Collective, I do still get stuff from them on occasion. Lately, one of the brands that I've been buying heavily is Enfant Riche des Poupes. Subscribe for upcoming videos on that. So Grailed tends to have the best selection of ERD pieces, but Vestiaire tends to get a decent amount as well, and the prices there are usually a bit better than Grailed, so I keep my eye out. One of the ERD pieces highest on my wish list is any of the sweaters that they did with Loro Piana fabric. So Loro Piana is an Italian company that makes some of the best knit fabric around, and it's very expensive. Normally, I'd say a good price on one of those sweaters would be like $800, really anything under $1,000. So I was psyched when I found one for $500 on Vestiaire Collective. I looked into it. The pictures, they weren't great quality, but there was nothing like too sketchy to me about that. The seller had already sold a lot of other items on the site, so they had a track record of some kind. So it wasn't a perfect no-brainer, but enough for me to take a shot. I figured even if they're dubious authenticators at Vestiaire Collective, if they let a fake through, I'll just check it myself when I get it and we'll go from there. So I get this sweater and it's rough. Here is a short list of the many things their authenticators missed, if they even looked at it at all, and I'm very, very suspicious on that count. So first off, the stitching on the neck tag cut across the brand logo. No luxury brand would ever let their logo get stitched over, ever. It just wouldn't happen, especially not on like a premium piece that was something like $2,000, $2,500 or so at retail. Next, the size tag was upside down. Literally, the letter on the size tag was upside fucking down, you guys, okay? And the yarn inside the collar was the wrong color. You can see it's a different shade of blue from the main sweater. The knit around the collar was all kinds of messed up, like just a bad knit. And finally, this isn't something you're going to see, but you'll just need to take my word for it. The fabric was crap. This thing is supposed to be 100% Loro Piana cashmere. Whatever sweater I had, it was not that. Maybe Loro Piana sandpaper. Anyway, it felt kind of more like wool than cashmere to me. I'm sure it was cashmere or some sort of cashmere blend, but it was like cheap cashmere. I've had Loro Piana pieces before, and it's like the softest, most luxurious knit fabric you'll ever feel, and this just wasn't that at all. So I had to try to get my money back. Want to know how that went? Well, stick around because we'll go over that in the final part of this video, but first, there's something else we need to talk about. A long time ago, a much stupider version of myself bought a Gucci shirt off Vestiaire Collective. I never wore it because the sizing was all wonky, and it honestly wasn't all that comfortable, two things that I should have found suspicious at the time. But, you know, I'm sorry to say it took quite a long time for me to realize that Gucci shirt was actually a fake. Unfortunately, it had been so long since I bought it that there was no way I was gonna get my money back on that one. But this was right around the same time I was realizing how much of a scam Vestiaire Collective's authentication really is, so I decided to run a little experiment. I decided to list that Gucci shirt back on Vestiaire Collective to see how easy it really was to let fakes through their system. And guess what? They actually flagged it. They said, "We can't let you post this because we found it is not authentic." And I mean, that's great news, right? Their system is actually working the way they say it is. Well, kind of. But you're missing the fact that I bought it from Vestiaire in the first place. So I decided to push a little further. I figured, hey, if you're saying it's fake, then how about you give me my money back? I mean, you sold it to me in the first place and you're saying it's fake. That only seems fair, right? So I sent that in an email to them, and what happened? Comment right now, what do you think they did? They must have given me my refund, right? Well, let's take a look at the response they sent me. I am pleased to say that your item has been accepted by our curation team. The photos of your item are just being processed to make sure your item is shown at its best. Yes, you read that right. First, they said it was fake. Then, as soon as I pushed back and asked for a refund for the product even they admitted is fake, well, suddenly they've looked again and it's real. Isn't that fantastic? No, it's not. The shirt was fake. They knew it and I knew it, but they let it back up on the site anyway, just so they wouldn't have to give me a refund. I deleted the item before it sold to anyone on there, don't worry. I wouldn't sell that to someone, but it was up there, and VC was perfectly happy to sell that fake on to another unsuspecting customer. And just keep in mind, I've just told you 2 stories from me, a single person. They have millions of users, so how many fakes do you think they're really selling? Okay, now it's time to circle back to that fake Enfant Riche Déprimé sweater I bought on Vestiaire Collective. So, what do you do when you find out an item you bought is fake? You contact them to get a refund, right? Well, that's exactly what I did. But let me show you what happens when you try to report a fake that you bought on Vestiaire Collective. So I have already gone through this whole process with the ERD sweater, but I can show you what the process would look like if I felt one of the other items I bought was a fake. So let's do that now. So here I am on the app, and this is where the issue is out of control. You're not going to believe this. So here I am in my orders on my Vestiaire Collective app. So these are all the orders I've made. And if I go and click on one, like let's pick this Rick Owens shirt right here, it takes me to the page with like the history of where it was shipped and everything like that. And then the way to report any issues, you see at the very bottom it says Help Center. So I'm going to click on that because I'm saying this is fake, right? It's not actually, but just as an example, if this was fake, I'd click that. And that takes you to their general help center. Very simple, doesn't give you much information, like it's kind of like, why am I here? But anyway, you scroll down and you've got two options. You can chat with them or you can email with them. We all know that the chat function in any app is absolute garbage, so I'm not gonna do that. Of course, I'm gonna click I wanna send an email to them. And then it takes you to this form. You know, very familiar, right? It makes sense. Has you enter in your stuff, and then you have to choose a topic. You've got 4 options. The only one that applies in this case is buying on Vestiaire Collective. So I pick that. And then once you choose that, it asks you what your question is relating to. So on that, you've got more options. And again, there's only one that applies here, and that is report an issue on quality or authenticity. So of course we click that, right? And oh no, what has happened? It has redirected me. We are no longer on the form. Instead, we're at a message telling me to relist the item. That is what they want you to do. They do not want you to tell them the item is fake, even though it is. They want you to relist the item on their service because they don't want to give you your money back. They just want to keep it selling, keep it cycling through people, even though you are saying it's fake. They don't redirect you to that when you pick the other options. They just do this when you're saying my item is not real. Let that sink in. And once I put in that ticket under false pretenses, because they wouldn't let me put it in under the correct pretenses, let that sink in real quick. They won't let you report a fake item. Anyway, after I put in that ticket, they eventually did give me my money back. But I want to make this clear. What they're doing is likely a crime. They're encouraging users to sell items that the user knows is fake. Here's the law, at least in the United States. The law applies with equal force to any individual or company that knowingly resells a counterfeit product. This law, known as the Trademark Counterfeiting Act of 1984, carries substantial monetary fines, up to $5 million, and prison time up to 20 years imprisonment, or in some cases, life, for individuals and companies who violate the act. That's bad. That's shut down your entire company bad. Vestiaire, you better get your shit together. And let's move on to the broader issue. So now Vestiaire Collective is fully aware that this Enfant Riche de Primé X Loro Piana sweater that they sent me is fake. They ended up agreeing with me and refunding me. So now they must take a closer look at listings from that brand, right? They wouldn't let it happen again, would they? Well, let's see. All right, let's look at the brand Enfant Riche de Primé. Okay, we've got lots of listings. Ooh, very exciting. Okay. Great prices on some of this stuff. Well, you look at that. That's the sweater I bought at what was a cheap price to me of $500. Here's another one being sold for $273. This was a very rare sweater as well. Oh, I think this is another Loro Piana sweater. Interesting. That's so crazy. And I keep scrolling down. And wow, there's another one for $531. It's crazy how they have so many of these rare sweaters here. Oh, there's another one for $364. Yeah, they barely made any of these sweaters, and yet it's all over Vestiaire Collective at cut rate prices. And you can look around at some of these other ones too. $200 for that. $271 for that. There's some crazy ones here too. $289 for that. You notice how a lot of them are being sold from Poland? as well. That's kind of weird, isn't it? I'll take a look at this from Spain. Stuff from Hong Kong as well, I've noticed. Let's take a look at that. That's a very cheap price. So here we are, and this one's being sold by Firenze. They are a certified trusted seller. Wow, exciting. They've sold a lot of products, and when you go to these pages, this is what they all look like. A lot of ERD, a lot of gallery department, a lot of Rick Owens. They've got this guy listed, Rude Shorts, weird, a hat for very, very cheap. And they've also sold other ERD sweaters for very cheap prices. Isn't that odd? Here's the exact same sweater. Wow, being sold by somebody else, Derek. They've sold 2 items. What's up with Derek here? Oh, crazy how he's also got the exact same other sweater that the other person had also listed. Almost like the market is saturated with these 2 very rare sweaters. That's so weird. Oh, and here's the third one. Who's selling this? Silk Road is selling this. Who are you? Oh, more gallery department. A lot of ERD for way cheaper than you'd see it anywhere else. Huh, so odd. Wool shirt. Oh, there's that t-shirt we were looking at earlier. The same hat, the same other sweater that's already sold. Again, somebody else already bought this. $150 for that one. The same pants that this other person has listed. Wow, this is feeling really weird, isn't it, you guys? I wonder what's going on here. And here's our high-risk shirt being sold by Willie. He sold 10 items. Ooh, he's selling a lot of stuff, a lot of Gucci and chrome hearts. Exciting, but they're those same Rude shorts. And here's that same sweater. Here's the same gallery department shorts. Where are these people getting this stuff? They just have such similar tastes. Here are the Rude shorts again. There's the high-risk t-shirt. Crazy stuff. And here is Christoph selling this other Loro Piana piece. He has sold 45 items. Let's look at Christoph here. All right, Christoph, what do you got? Oh, he's got that same sweater. More ERD. There's a silk shirt there. The same gallery department jacket we've seen before. The same Lanvin hoodie we've seen before. What else you got for me, Christoph? Here's that. We've seen this before. We've seen that before. An Alix choker. That's a new one for $112. That makes no sense. A duplicate of that shirt. Now tell me, why would this guy have 2 versions of the exact same shirt? That's very weird. And 2 versions of this shirt, I believe we've seen. And this one, 2 versions of this. One sold, one not sold. Both new with tags. Ooh, and he's sold this exact sweater that he already has listed elsewhere. There's the same hoodie we've seen elsewhere. There's another version of the same hoodie we've seen elsewhere. There's another one of the same shirt we've seen before. Guys, is this a joke at this point? You understand what's going on, right? Ooh, he's even got that one right there. The same Loro Piana piece, this same shirt that we've seen elsewhere. It's a mess. This entire thing is a mess. And just one look at these profiles will tell you that it stinks to high heaven. It is a can of sardines of stinkiness going on here. All right, and you guys, I want to tell you, this is not just a problem with ERD. This is happening everywhere. You saw it on these pages. It's covered in gallery department, Lanvin, Rude, Rick Owens. This is site-wide with some of the hottest brands on the entire website. It has infested. I would be willing to bet, looking over these listings, maybe only about half of them are actually real and the rest of them are reps, or even worse, crappy fakes, not even replicas. It's so bad. So, as the title of this act says, it's worse than you think. The fakes are quite literally taking over the platform. Now, does that mean that everything on Vestiaire Collective is a fake or a replica? No, not at all. All I can say is that as a legit checker myself, there are many, many fakes on there. I would say, without having done like a proper analysis on it, that there are more fakes on VC than there are on Grailed. And that's bad because Grailed doesn't claim to authenticate everything on this site. So be really, really careful when you buy on Vestiaire. I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but you better be really effing sure of what you're buying because they are shady. I've reached out to VC asking to interview them, just like I did in the last video, and they ghosted me. I know they may get their feelings hurt when I make videos like this, but if they just talk to me and show an honest effort to solve these massive problems, then I wouldn't even need to make this video in the first place. So, Vestiaire, reach out to me. I showed my email towards the beginning of this video. Let's figure this shit out. And if you or anyone else is wondering how this problem even can be fixed, I mean, it's true that to a degree it's an unfixable issue. There are always going to be fakes. Even sites like StockX, who are generally very good at authentication, let reps slip through every once in a while. But it's clear that Vestiaire Collective's authenticators are really excessively bad at actually authenticating stuff, or they're being asked to authenticate so many pieces that they don't have time to do their job properly on each item. So I'd say VC have a few options to fix this. The first is the hardest and most expensive, but it's also the most obvious. Train your authenticators better, hire more of them, and hold them accountable when they get things wrong so it never happens again. But since they haven't done that yet, I'm skeptical that they ever will. So here's option 2. Just stop doing any authentication. Be essentially totally hands-off like Poshmark, and let the community try to police itself by having a report button or whatever. The problem is, there are already a lot of other marketplaces that function this way, so losing the authentication part of their business model could potentially kill Vestiaire Collective. So finally, here's a middle ground. Vestiaire Collective should stop doing the in-hand authentication. Instead, put all of your authenticators onto the site itself, monitoring and policing the listings themselves, a bit more like what Grail does. Again, it would take away some of their main selling points, but they're already losing so much trust at this point that I think it's the best option they've got. I'm just super disappointed because people are getting scammed, and the scammers are getting away with it, and they're getting away with it because Vestiaire Collective really sucks at what they do. That's all. Bye, y'all.